Admit your mistake, get in someone's face, lie to the cops, or just laugh it off. The stories behind these clips are as crazy as the videos themselves, and you won't find them anywhere else. Enjoy! This submitter had left his Ford Explorer parked when it captured a driver pull into traffic, then stop in front of another driver who unfortunately was heading directly toward the sun. Evidently, the driver of the SUV had been delivering food when the collision occurred. Our submitter offered the police a copy of his dashcam video, but they told him it was obvious who was responsible. Our submitter told us he thinks both drivers are at fault, and he asked us to shout out Paul and Samantha. Jared was driving to work when he slowed down for a traffic light that was about to turn red. Suddenly, the driver of a black Kia to his right ran the red light and hit a sedan that was in the intersection. Jared said the Kia driver jumped out to check on her kids in the back seat. Thankfully, everybody was okay. Jared gave copies of his dashcam footage to both drivers and the police before continuing on his way to work. Later, when the cops called Jared for some more information, the officer told him the husband of the Kia driver had been very aggressive with the police and insisted that her light had been green. He got very angry when the officer told him he'd seen dashcam video proving her light had been red, and he only backed down when threatened with arrest. Jared told us he wishes he'd stuck around to watch. Lewis was driving home with his dad for his sister's college graduation. When he noticed a cop car up ahead, he changed lanes to give it more room. He then kept driving for a while before noticing an SUV with a very poorly secured mattress strapped to the roof. It didn't take long for him to find out that the cop had noticed it too. Yeah, that mattress looks like it was a mile or two from taking flight. Hopefully some instant justice prevented some instant regret. This submitter discovered what happens when a driver in a straight-only lane turns while a driver in a turn-only lane goes straight. Our submitter pulled over and shared his dashcam footage with both drivers. He also confirmed that both of them had been confused about which lane was for what. He doesn't know who was ultimately found responsible. This submitter was driving home in the rain when he felt the front wheels hit standing water. Watch what happened when he overcorrected. Our submitter told us he kept going home after this happened, but he drove a little bit slower. He also noted that he might need new tires on his Mustang, as his tires are a bit too worn out for wet weather. Check out what Nitesh encountered while driving about 45 miles per hour. A slow pickup ahead of Nitesh merged right, so he merged left to overtake it. The other driver then began making an illegal U-turn, and Nitesh had to swerve hard into oncoming lanes to avoid a collision. Nitesh told us he contacted the Shreveport police about the incident, but he doesn't know if they plan to do anything about it. Todd was heading home through the mountains of Colorado one night. The roads were wet and temperatures were cold when another driver sped past him before losing control. The car spun out and went off the road after the driver crashed head-on into the median barrier. Todd was able to slow down to avoid getting involved, but it was 1 a.m. and he needed to get home, so he continued. Corey experienced something similar when he watched a pickup driver lose control on a wet off-ramp in North Carolina. Corey tried lowering his window to check on the pickup driver, but evidently they weren't feeling sociable, so he continued. He told us he's a big fan, and our channel heavily influenced him to buy a dashcam. Ashton was making his way down a right turn lane when another driver suddenly swerved directly toward him. The other driver failed to use her turn signals, or her mirrors for that matter, but Ashton used his good gaming reaction to honk and swerve to the right while slamming on the brakes. Ashton thought for sure they'd made contact, but when he pulled into a parking lot to check for damage, he didn't find any. Shout out to his kids Lizzie and Wilkes, who love watching Wham Bam with him. Stefan was driving home when a white car sped past him before weaving around other traffic. The next thing he noticed was a huge cloud of dust filling the sky to the right of the highway. The other driver lost control while swerving between cars, spun out, and went off the road. Stefan pulled over to check on the driver, as did another driver right behind him. They were shaken up, but not injured. They admitted their aggressive driving had caused the incident. Other passersby called the police, and Stefan gave them a copy of his dashcam footage when they arrived. Angie's husband was driving home after picking up their puppy from puppy school. While he was waiting to turn left, he watched this week's Tesla behaving badly speed around him to run the red light. That Tesla man can't drive. That Tesla man can't drive. There's no way this can be excused as a mistake or blamed on autopilot. Angie thinks the driver was just too important to wait. She told us she and her husband have watched Wham Bam videos for years, and they even have an agreement to never watch our videos without the other. Aww. Victor was driving in Georgia, the country, not the state, when he was nearly run into by a police pickup truck. Victor hit the brakes and avoided a collision, but hopefully that cop's boss sees this video and revokes his donut privileges for a while. Then again, are donuts a thing for Georgian cops? Truthfully, I have no idea. Pedro had picked up some motorists whose car had broken down and was on his way to drop them off at their house when another driver began tailgating him. After over 15 minutes of this, he finally passed him in a center turn lane.
Hey Google, call 911.
During the overtake, the other driver clipped Pedro's Toyota Camry before trying to speed off. Thankfully, Pedro stayed with him until he finally stopped. He didn't tell us what else happened, but since he managed to send us his dashcam footage, we can assume he made it safely home once the issue was resolved. This submitter was following traffic through a protected left turn when an oncoming Jeep driver decided that red means go. Our submitter honked and swerved to avoid the careless Gladiator driver who went right on going after cutting through turning traffic. Manny was driving to his sister's house after a passing tornado had reset all the traffic lights. If you've ever experienced this, you know how people suddenly forget the rules when the traffic lights start flashing. In case you forgot, flashing red lights means the intersection becomes a four-way stop. As Manny made a left turn from one of two lanes that turn left, the driver next to him went ahead and drifted into his lane, nearly hitting him. Manny hit the brakes and avoided a collision before watching the SUV driver run the next flashing red and nearly T-bone a pickup truck. Manny admits to going a little far into the intersection in an attempt to talk to the SUV driver. Todd was driving on snowy roads when the rear tires of his Chevy Trailblazer lost traction and he started to spin out. Todd had no control as his SUV slid sideways until it hit a GMC Yukon that was parked on the street. When he rang the doorbell, the homeowner spoke to him through their doorbell camera and he gave them his contact info. Todd told us that a few days later, they called him and told him they couldn't find any damage and not to worry about it. This submitter was driving along when he noticed a driver behind him tailgating other vehicles. As he continued driving with other traffic, the other driver suddenly sped around him in an oncoming turn lane. After getting the other driver's face on camera, our submitter sent his footage to the police department. They were able to write her a ticket after seeing the dashcam video. With no idea that the entire incident had been captured on camera, the SUV driver told the police that our submitter had been driving aggressively, tailgating, and hindering the flow of traffic. Our submitter told us the judge threw the book at her, fining her $3,700 and suspending her license for a year after finding her guilty of a whole slew of traffic violations, including reckless driving and illegal passing. Our submitter told us he thanks God he had a dashcam, or it would have been her word against his. As he puts it, the dashcam doesn't lie. Shad was driving home and had entered a roundabout when another driver decided not to yield and entered the roundabout at the same time Shad was driving by. Shad slammed on his brakes and hit his horn, but the other driver just swerved around him and drove off. He sent his dashcam footage to the police, but he doesn't know if they plan to take any action. David was headed home from work in an area he describes as notoriously filled with taxi drivers thanks to arriving cruise ships. Watch what happened when a driver ahead of him changed lanes to go around traffic. When the driver of a VW SUV dodged around other traffic, a taxi driver didn't see them coming and turned into them. David stopped and gave a copy of his dashcam footage to the driver of the SUV. Fans of our newest channel, Wham Bam Security Cam, will be familiar with the Cute Cam segment. Well, we've got a little Cute Cam video of our own. Bill encountered 4 foxes playing in his neighborhood just before dusk.
4 foxes right there. Wham Bam Dashcam. There's 3 straight ahead of me and 1 over to the right.
Bill stopped and watched them playing, even taking out his phone to record a quick video. After a few minutes, he continued to the store to get ice cream and cookies for his wife for Mother's Day.
Wham Bam, we got a Patreon, man. Please support the show.
Want to win a Wham Bam hoodie? We're giving one away every week for 10 weeks. To enter, send a video in to our newest channel, Wham Bam Security Cam. If your video is used in an episode, you'll be entered in the giveaway. Then, make sure you're subscribed to Wham Bam Security Cam so you'll know if you win. Good luck!